to another episode of Spilling the Teeth. My name is Dr. Ryan Hungate. I am the Chief Clinical and Strategic Officer of Schein One, and we have a special episode for you today. Right, we just released our 2025 Catalyst Index, and you might be asking yourself, what the heck is that, Dr. Ryan? Well, this is a cheat sheet. Okay, this basically is going to tell you out of all the practices that we have in Schein One, there's a lot of them, right? We've looked at the top performers, we've analyzed them, and we've really found what are they doing every single day to really put them ahead of the competition. How do you become the top 10% in all of our economy of dentistry, right? So we're going to talk about a few of those today, but at the end of all of this, I want you to hop down into the link and read the entire 2025 Catalyst Index, because I'm telling you, there are some amazing things in there. I couldn't be more proud of what our team has put together, what all of our partners here with Schein One have put together. It is a game changer for our industry. So let's get right down into it. How do we separate ourselves every day from the pack? Right. And I think we're asking ourselves this, and I think we all have our own little ways of how we do it and how we think we're doing it. But let's look at the data. Let's really dig down into it. That's what we're going to do. So let's kick it off. First of all, average case acceptance rates are shockingly low. Okay. And it's no secret why. We really dug down deep into this, right? Nearly 60% of patients turn down treatment, right, at the average practice. That is ridiculous, right? Nobody comes to a practice hoping to say no to their health. Okay, so either we're not establishing enough trust with those patients, maybe we're not educating them enough, right? Maybe it's we're not meeting them where we're supposed to when it comes to cost. We're going to talk about all those things, but really, that comes down to, right? And this is what we figured out. This comes down to three frustrating reasons, right? Ineffective patient education, a lack of pricing clarity, and a disappointing experience. Okay, so let's think about this, right? Like we said, nearly 60% of patients turn down treatment at the average practice. I'm sure you guys know how to get your numbers. If you don't, you can obviously reach out to us and we'll show you. But the average case acceptance rate is 47%, 47%. The top 10%, all right? So here's where you need to be, 83%. Okay, 83% acceptance rate. How do we get those up, right? How do we work on that? Well, there's a couple things. First of all, the average amount of money that a patient has in their bank account, right, in their savings account in the United States is roughly $300. That might surprise a lot of you, but $300, that's kind of crazy. What do we want to guess the average cost of a dental procedure is, right? When we average everything together, guess what? It's $360, right? 368 to be exact. We've got a mismatch, okay? So now people are asking themselves, do I want to pay rent this month? Do I want to pay for food for my kids? Or do I want to have a healthy smile? So we need to start to do things like offer third-party financing, really give good transparency on what the insurance that I actually have as a patient is offering, right? Because I think a lot of times, we get down into it and we're looking at some of these things like, hey, when they ask a question, what is this going to cost, doc? And we say, I think it's going to cost you out of pocket about $84. Imagine checking out on Amazon and at the very end it said, I think it's going to cost $62. Would you hit the checkout button? Of course you wouldn't, right? Amazon wouldn't be near as successful. But what do they show instead? They show an as low as number. They work with you. They just assume that you might want financing. One of the reasons they do that is people tend to go back and double the amount of things that they put in their cart when they actually opt into patient financing. Now, we can't do that as doctors, right? That's called malpractice. But at the same time, if we set a comprehensive cart and we come to them with really great financing options, they really like that. When we're educating them in a really good way, right? Maybe utilizing things like artificial intelligence to show it's not just my opinion, it's also the artificial intelligence's opinion that you need this done. We'll get into that a little bit more later. But we can fix these things, right? Remember, we have to fix ineffective patient education, lack of pricing clarity, and a disappointing experience. Look, the experience is on all of you. You can do that. I think that you're probably giving a great experience out there, especially if you got those massage chairs and the paraffin wax dips and Netflix and all that good stuff that everybody's putting in their office now. But outside of that, which we can't really help you with outside of giving them really good pricing clarity and patient education. We'll get into more of that in just a second. So the second big piece of this index, right? Our experts were most surprised by month long appointment lead times. Think about that. right? When we looked at all the averages out there, month-long appointment lead times. Of all the data, the long appointment lead times for the industry average were most surprising. Top performers have made accessible scheduling for new patients and emergencies non-negotiable in their practices, right? Right now, the average emergency appointment lead time, it's not the same day, it's not the next day, it's 6 days. The emergency is gone, right? The tooth is dead after 6 days. So I don't know what we're thinking there, or more than likely what happens is somebody probably goes and finds another dentist. If you've really got pain, you're going to get that taken care of. So people are prioritizing people being able to get in, right? The average new patient lead time, anybody want to take a guess? 31 days. 31 days. If I want to go see a dentist, if I'm thinking I need to see a dentist right now, I'm looking for somebody that can get me in either that week or the next week, max, right? More than likely in the next couple days. Now let's talk about this for just a second. How do we fix this? How do we easily fix it? Well, one of the ways we can do that is online scheduling. Okay, opening up our book to online scheduling. When you have your front desk go through the system and you look for the next open slot, it's really hard to find, right? Because I got to go next, 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 day after day and look for an opening. I might miss something. I just might know, hey, you know what? I know I'm pretty darn open. A month from now, I'm going to look there. So you just automatically jump a month ahead, right? With online scheduling, it shows you the next available slot down to the half hour, the hour. So if you have somebody cancel in your book and somebody's wanting to book to either get in that same day or the next day, which is why people book online, right? Then it shows it right away. It's really easy to find within that user experience. You can find that next day, you can register yourself. And the other thing that people don't know about this is no-show rates drop when people book online. That's right, they drop when people book online. Why is that? Well, think about it. When you make a reservation on OpenTable for a restaurant, do you show up? Of course you do. Why? It's because you're probably making it for the next day or a few days later. I know what my schedule looks like a couple days from now. I have no clue what I'm doing this same time next month, or even better yet, this time 6 months from now. But I always think it's funny when we are walking out, we look people square in the eye and go, hey, what are you doing 6 months from now? Right? And we just expect for them to know. Really, that's just a reminder for us to reschedule them at that point in time, or to send a reminder for them to reschedule with us. So it's a good thing that we do it, but at the same time, right, let's make things easier. Let's make it something that they're used to out there in the open, like online scheduling. We can make that a lot easier, especially with emergency appointments. We have other strategies that we'll talk about in the index with that too. Let's talk about gross production. Gross production grew nearly 50% year over year for the top 10%. So if you're thinking, whoa, my gross production didn't grow 10%, well, look, you're not in the 10% yet. We're going to get you there, right? But this is the interesting piece. It didn't grow for the reason that you think. So here's a surprise. Top earners saw a big jump in profits despite a drop in daily appointments. Wait a second. What's going on here? That sounds like my dream, right? A little bit less work, more profitability. Heck yeah, let's talk about this, right? Our experts agree it's because top practices prioritize education and encourage treatment plan acceptance of more involved procedures over more basic procedures, right? So if I'm just doing filling after filling after filling, cleaning after cleaning after cleaning, I'm having to really bust my butt to get a lot of volume done to make up for something where I can do, a few of them like implants, like all on X, like clear aligners, whatever that might be, right? Or large aesthetic cases. And I can do less of that, less appointments, but produce a lot more. Now here's the wild stat, right? Gross production per day for the top 10%. Anybody want to guess what it is? $28,000 per day. Okay. That's where you got to be to get in the top 10%. We can help get you there. How? Well, with a lot of things like artificial intelligence, right? We can start helping you prioritize what you're going to schedule for that day. So you're not just full to the brim with cleanings all day long. That's good. You got to create that top of funnel. But we also need to prioritize things that are going to help patients to get more healthy. But then at the exact same time, we got to also help you keep those doors open by doing really productive treatments. And we can help you with that and help you recognize which ones are the best for your practice, which is pretty darn cool. Okay. Another piece. patient experience is now critical. Okay. The top 10% of practices know that any friction exacerbates patient anxiety and reluctance. Okay. It's that simple. Any friction, the devil. Okay. We can't have that. And the top 10% know this. By contrast, okay, practices that prioritize the patient journey, offering online forms, okay, flexible scheduling, and accurate billing. We're going to get into all three of these real quick. Okay. See higher retention and treatment acceptance. This just makes sense, right? Put yourself in your patient's shoes. When you go to your MD, okay, or even your friends, like think about that experience. Is it awesome? Do you feel confident in what you're buying? Like when you walk out of there and you think like maybe this is free, and then you get that bill for $360 like 5 weeks later, and you're saying, what the hell is this? Right? That wasn't a great example of how to run your practice. Is that how you're running your practice? I guarantee you the top 10% aren't. Right? The top 10% right off the bat, when I schedule online, and they're definitely scheduling online, because think about it. When was the last time that you went to any restaurant where they didn't have online scheduling that was halfway decent? Right? I'm not including Chili's, which is delicious, right? Or Applebee's. Okay. Not quite as delicious, right? Everybody loves eating good in the neighborhood every so often, but we're not talking about that, right? You are not Applebee's, right? You want to be the prime steakhouse out there. You want to be that 3-star Michelin restaurant, and they all have online scheduling, okay? Everybody else, they're just getting looked over at the end of the day. Now, what comes after online scheduling? Online forms. Now, the new forms product that we just brought out is a game changer. It's actually amazing. It reads and writes back everything to the exact places that you need to go, right? But if you don't have that and you have those people sitting down in the office and filling everything out, thumbs down. You're already running 20 minutes behind. Nobody's fast at filling that out. Maybe they forgot their insurance card. You're not able to run their eligibility ahead of time anymore, right? If you get their insurance information card on file up front, not only are you going to run your practice more efficiently, but on top of all of that, you're also going to run a more efficient practice, and you're not going to run late. So people are going to want to come see you more. It's awesome. Okay. Now, when it comes to accurate billing, you have to get that information up front. You have to, right? If you don't have that information up front, you can't do the right math. Now, the good news is now with things like Eligibility Pro and all these really cool things where it comes to clean claim filing, it all happens within seconds. So even if I do have a patient walk in and I get their insurance card that day, about 20 seconds later, I get all their eligibility data written right back into the coverage tables. Now, you have to have an integrated experience with that, because then I can tell you, hey, here you haven't hit your maximum yet. This specific CDT code is covered at 80%. And here's what your copay is today. And here's exactly how much your patient portion is. Okay, you can't afford that. You've already been pre-approved for third-party financing. Congratulations, it's going to be as low as $62 a month for the next 6 months. Sign here, and we're off and running. Okay. On top of all of that, not only do you have all their financial stuff in order, but with using things like Detect AI and AI, look, we live in a second opinion world. Okay. If we're best friends and I recommend a restaurant to you in a place that you haven't ever been, right? Remember, we're best friends. What's the first thing you're going to do when you go to that place? You're still going to Google my recommendation, right? Remember, we're best friends, right? So when you tell a patient that they need a specific procedure, they're always going to second guess what you're doing, okay? With AI, right, you basically have that second opinion sitting right there in the chair next to you, right? It's amazing, right? Now it's not just my opinion as a doctor, it's also the AI telling you, hey, I see the exact same thing. And it also makes it beautiful and colorful, and red is bad, and yellow is heading towards bad, and you can see a lot of different bone depths and pockets and lesions. It makes it so the patient doesn't have to lie when they're looking at x-rays, because we always show them those x-rays and you're like, do you see this little thing here? And they're like, yeah, and they really don't see anything. Now they will. And because they're educated, because they understand everything and they know how much it's going to cost, they're definitely going to say yes more often. You can slip into that top 10%, right? And here's where I'll leave all of this, right? A fortune is being left on the table, right? It's not an exaggeration to say hundreds of thousands of dollars are being left on the table. And I think we all know this, right? This is the most apparent chair side when, where the average practice's daily gross production is nearly 4 times. Think about this. Remember the numbers we read off, right? It's nearly 4 times less than the top 10% gross production per day. So think about this. The average is $11,000, right? Gross production per day. The top 10% is $28,000. Something's going on here, right? And we have to figure out what that is. The good news is that technology can help you in a large way with this. Otherwise, just recognizing what your weaknesses are, like looking at the analytics, right, through something like Jarvis Analytics and being able to observe it, measure it, and actually go tackle it. These are all things that we help you with. These are all things that we point out in the 2025 Catalyst Index. I highly recommend you go check this out. It's a game changer of a document that you should absolutely spend the time to read through. If you have any questions, reach out to Schein One and we can answer them. Otherwise, have a great day, and thanks for watching.